Next, we have consideration of a rental agreement with Ventura Sports and Mid-American League Baseball franchise of Travis Bryan Field.
Mayor and Council, Joy Dunn, Deputy City Manager.
So this first slide is an aerial view of Travis Major Field. We call it Major because there is Travis Little Leagues next door. So it's Travis Major Field here located on Carson Street in the Midtown area of Bryan. It was mentioned during Here Citizens about an RFP process, so I'll mention that very briefly. Earlier this spring, we did go through a RFP, a request for proposals process for for a manager operator to operate Travis Major Field. Those 4 proposals were brought to City Council on May the 20th, and all were rejected. And the reason being is that the council provided direction to staff to manage the facility and operate the facility by the City of Bryan. So I must pick up where the timeline is here. On May the 22nd, Brazos Valley Bombers announced a move to a new location in College Station. On the next day, on the Friday, May the 23rd, there was information that was broadcast on out an Austin TV station website, and so it was viewed by Ventura Sports Group, who contacted the city on that day, on Friday, May the 23rd, to inquire about a multi-year agreement for rental of the stadium of Travis Major Field. So this December the 31st, the amended, and it's been amended multiple times, but the current exclusive use agreement with Brazos Valley Bombers expires, again, at the end of this calendar year. The next day, on January 1, is when the City of Bryan staff will assume full responsibility for the management and operation of that facility. So, go ahead.
Everybody just turn your mics on real quick.
Quick question in regards to also what was presented to the city as far as a lease agreement is extremely different than the RFP that we ultimately decided to cancel. The RFP was for the management of the facility that we ultimately decided we would best be able to serve in that capacity. So the two are completely separate.
That's right.
Correct?
What we did is we had, again, taken a look at a facility that has not been owned or managed or operated by the city in almost 20 years, and the need to actually get into the facility and assess the current situation. It is a historic facility built in 1947. And so, again, to take a look at all of those things, and again, part of the budget to bring back an idea of just how we're going to maintain and operate that facility moving forward. So that was the reason why those proposals were rejected.
And not to mention some of the costs that was associated with that to the city.
Correct.
Bringing in those management companies.
Items that were needed to be done to the facility regardless of what was shown in the proposals.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So in the rental agreement terms, I'll walk you through it very quickly that you have before you tonight. There's a 3-year term starting January 1, 2026 till the end of December of 2028. That would include 3 seasons and a possible 2-year extension to 5 years. The rental fee is $1,000 per game for 32 games. That's $32,000 per year. Under this agreement, the terms under this agreement require prepayment of $32,000 on the first day of the season, which is May 20th each season. That season goes, again, very, very common in the Southern leagues, but it goes from May the 20th until August the 15th each year. There is an independent league exclusivity clause in there, but it does not apply to amateur games, Little League, baseball, softball, high school teams. There are other users of this facility that exclusivity would not apply to. In other words, they would be allowed to basically work out rental agreements as well to play games, to continue to play games at Travis Major Field. And then also included in the rental agreement is a requirement that each...
Joey, in the past, did the city ever get any revenue off of any rental agreements from that stadium ever before?
We did not.
So this will be over and above what the $32,000 will be spent?
Correct.
Okay.
And then also we'll be managing the field outside of the season.
That's correct.
For additional revenue sources that we never had the opportunity for.
We will do the bookings. We will do the management operation of the facility that allows us to collect additional rent rental fees from other entities that use the field on other times of the year.
And over and above, provide the maintenance that would be required that may have not have gotten completed over the past 18 years.
Correct.
And so to put it in reality, let's say Brazos Christian wanted to have a game there. They would contact the city directly now instead of having to go through a third party and waiting for that third party's approval.
That's correct. We'll be reaching out to all the current users of the facility, and then offer them opportunity to enter into some kind of agreement for each of those home games that are played there.
Great, thank you, Joey.
And I guess as Mrs. Carmichael stated that we acted hastily in this thing right here that we're working on now, I would just venture to say that we knew this was going to happen a year ago. We knew the end of the lease, which is why this has happened, Mrs. Carmichael. We knew the lease was going to end. We wanted to put it out for an RFP to make sure that we would get the highest and best use of a facility that the city and the citizens, taxpayers own. We knew we had a lot of deferred maintenance on that facility that we're going to have to put some money into. We had to make a decision how we're going to do that, how we're going to pay for it, and how we're going to take care of the asset that the city and the taxpayers own. So we put the RFP out a year ago, which caused a lot of stink and caused a lot of whatever that may be. But we were doing our due diligence. That was our due diligence period. And then when we heard the announcement that they were going to move, and to be very fair, I've been involved for several years on this council and before that on P&Z and just different roles with BBC and through different committees. It was talked to us many times. Every time that something would come up, there was always a threat that College Station is building us a stadium. We're moving to College Station. Is that correct?
Yes, there have been talks about moving to College Station before.
And every year, we pony up and we would do the things that we needed to do as a city, even though we were receiving no revenue from it at all. We didn't receive any advertising from it. We didn't receive any sponsorship from it. We didn't receive any of the rental agreements from it. We didn't receive any of the concessions from it. We didn't receive any of the stuff that normal stadiums and normal other contracts do. We just continued to give because we enjoyed the Bombers as well.
That's correct.
So we did what we have to do as fiduciary for the city, and we want to get the best deal that we can possibly do to take our asset back to what we think it should be like. So that's when we heard that they were going to move to College Station, and that was made public. We put the RFP out, and we started looking immediately, and that's what we did because we didn't want to have any interruption at all in our baseball here, and we want to make sure that we can provide whatever we can provide, which is how this came about. Is that correct?
That's correct. This was not a rushed decision.
It wasn't. This has been a years, multi-years, not even, I wouldn't even say it's a year because there were discussions several years back that we need to put an RFP out before to find out what the best and highest use we can have for the city, the citizens, and our asset.
Right.
Thank you.
So let me get through just a couple more slides, and I know you might have other questions. The one feature we really like is November 15th each year, they're to deliver to us a home game schedule for the following season. That allows us to plan around the home games even during the season. And I believe they also have asked for, or the agreement includes 4 additional dates for practices. But again, those are basically 36 games out of the year is what we're talking about. And that allows us to lease the field, manage it for other types of events every other day of the year.
So theoretically, that opens it up to the rest of the community.
That's correct. Another element of this agreement is for Ventura Sports to provide food and beverage concessions year-round. The logistics of having 2 different concessionaires, one that we provide and perhaps one that they provide, is too difficult to manage. There's an option for, again, that's what this includes, is allows for them to do that. It does have a portion of that, 10% comes back to the city of the net revenue derived from, I'm going to look at my notes here, I believe it's 80%, 20% on the food and beverage. Another net revenue portion is the advertising and sponsorships. And again, that's at a 90-10. And then broadcasting rights as well, there's a shared revenue model included. Again, these are things, as you pointed out, Mayor, earlier, that are not existed before in any previous agreement that we've had for this facility.
So what were the Bombers asked to pay for?
What did they ask to?
Yes. What were they asked to pay for?
So we had good faith discussions with them on a potential rental agreement. Rental fee amount. I think it was $300 per game, and a percentage of the split of concessions and sponsorship. Those were included in our discussions.
How much of that have we received?
We have not received any prior.
How much do they still owe us?
Well, again, on the concessions or sponsorship, they don't owe us because it's not part of our previous agreements.
So are you saying that we haven't received anything in 18 years?
We have not received rent or any portion of the revenues derived from food and beverage or advertising and sponsorship
18 years.
in 18 years.
And we've also
it's
paid
basic-
the utilities on their behalf, correct?
That's correct. Up to a certain dollar figure, I believe it was $25,000 per year.
It's basically been subsidized by the taxpayers,
The
basically.
utilities and the rent has been subsidized by the city of Bryan for 18 years. So let me talk about who this particular tenant is. There's been a lot of speculation in the last few hours about who and the details of this firm. They are, again, you just met the owner and CEO, Mr. Schuster. They are based out of South Carolina. They operate and own the Mid-America Baseball League. It is an independent league in this region. It covers 3 states. Most of the teams are in Texas. There are teams in Missouri and Arkansas, and I believe they have aspirations to expand the league even further. This would become a 7th franchise team to add. A little bit more about their league. It's a hybrid of up to 40 players. They include Division I NCAA players as well as other divisions of college players. And they also include select players who have amateur status. Some of them are minor leaguers that come and actually are able to play during the summertime. I've already mentioned this, Bryan would be the 7th franchise, and these are the teams that are currently in place today. That last slide, I'm going to mention to you, we have checked the references. I was able to speak to 2 of the host cities, Texarkana and the Piney Woods Timberhawks. Those city managers responded very quickly and provided very glowing, very positive references for Mr. Schuster and for Ventura and for the league. It's been in place again. They've had their complete season last year, and they're in the middle of their 2nd season. And again, that's the information we've been able to glean. Any questions about that? I think again he's here tonight. I'm brief, so that's what I have. Any questions that you have for me?
Council, any questions? Councilman Edge, you have something?
I think I'd just like to confirm some bullet points to make sure I understand the high points of your presentation. So I'll do these kind of rapid fire. So with Infinity, we had an exclusive facility use agreement. Is that correct?
Correct.
And with Ventura, we'll have a rental agreement, which is for 32 games, 4 practice dates between May 20th and August 15th. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the city can rent the field during this time to others, but not competitive leagues.
Correct.
So that really opens it up to the rest of the community, taking out that third party that other folks, I use Brazos Christian, used to have to go through Infinity in order to use the field. That's out now. Great. And then we have talked about concessions. Now we're going to have uniformity in the concessions year-round. Is that correct?
Yes.
And regarding the agreement terms, Infinity, we had multiple amendments, and we'd started 18 years ago, but recently they announced they're moving to College Station. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then with Ventura, we're going to have a more definitive term, which is 3 years, January 1, 2026 to December 31, 2028. Is that correct?
Correct.
With the option to renegotiate and 1-year renewals. So a lot more concrete, finite terms inside this agreement. Would you agree?
Yes.
And then regarding revenue shares, Infinity, there was none to the city. And by the city, ultimately, we're talking about the taxpayers. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the firm retained all the revenues, including field rentals, sponsorships, things of that nature. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in contrast, with Ventura, the new agreement states that the sponsorship revenue, 20% of the net profits will go to the city, AKA the taxpayers, after the first $250,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
And out of the food and beverage proceeds, 10% will go back to the city of Bryan. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And regarding broadcast revenues, 50% net profits to the city of Bryan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Regarding the responsibilities of each firm, Infinity had year-round maintenance and operations of the facility. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then now we've discussed why the city has thought it was optimal for us to come in. It is an older facility. It does need some real TLC. So we're going to take that over. And then Ventura will only maintain the facility during game days. Is that correct?
Yes.
And regarding the city's responsibility, up to date, Infinity the city has paid all of the utility costs, with the current being about $35,000 a year on behalf of Infinity, also known as the Bombers. Is that correct?
I believe up to 25,000.
Okay. Ventura, as a rental agreement, the cost of utilities is actually built into the rental fee they're paying, so the city of Bryan will be recouping that in contrast to our prior agreement. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I have nothing further. Thank you, Joey.
Okay. Great question.
Does the prosecution rest?
It's a friendly witness. I'm just trying to get through it quickly. I just wanted to compare the two agreements.
Councilwoman, I'm going to ask the applicant to come up here, because I'm sure we all have some questions for the applicant as well. That probably puts some people at ease. Do you have some questions?
Well, before we do that, and I don't know if this is, it's not necessarily specific to Joey, but it certainly concerns him. I think it's more important to my fellow council members. Myself, Joey, and Brad were part of a committee that was negotiating, hopefully, a new rental agreement or new contract for the Bombers, and I think we had close to 9 meetings over the course of
Certainly more than 6.
over the course of 4 months. And I can assure you, and I can assure everybody in this room and listening tonight and all of our community members, the 3 of us were absolutely negotiating in good faith, trying to find an opportunity to keep the Bombers here with an equitable agreement. Multiple times we asked for financials to see how we could make sure it was a fair deal for them, fair deal for the city and the community. We received numbers on the back of a napkin as far as their revenues and their expenses. That's literally what we were working with when we were trying to find out some information that would be helpful. I will say that I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Chris and Uri were very deceitful in their negotiation tactics. We found out from KBTX of their move to College Station, Texas. And so for what it's worth and the timeline, whenever we found out they were not being real or honest with us, in my personal opinion, and I agree that the opportunities that we have now coming forth are going to be a great thing. So.
Well, and I will just say, because I was on those negotiations several years ago when we did the previous negotiations, and didn't have faith that we were going to come to agreement this time. And I will say Councilor Salvato and I did not agree on a lot of things, because he was working very much on the behalf of the Bombers to keep them here. I did not think it was going to happen, and ultimately we all got the wool pulled over our eyes when we heard the announcement that we're moving to College Station. So I appreciate you fighting on their behalf, and I appreciate everything you did for them. Anybody else have anything before I bring the applicant up? Any other question for Joey?
Mayor, I just want to clarify. Mr. Gaba did call me the day that they made the announcement. But again, that was after good faith discussions about a rental agreement. And I did the same thing last week when we posted this agenda, contacted him and Mr. Clark.
So I know we knew we had to post the agenda. We did not want it to be a surprise or anything else like that. We asked you, or you asked to call, make that call. And can you give us a little bit about that discussion?
Well, again, I think there was shock, and again, they basically indicated to me that they wanted me to know that this is war. That was one thing. The other comment was that by doing this agreement, this is a rental agreement, not a full agreement like they have, by doing this simple rental agreement, that we are basically eliminating all goodwill between the cities of Bryan and College Station that they have established.
Based on your knowledge and experience, this isn't the first time that a threat has been levied by Mr. Gava or his organization against the city. Is that correct?
No.
I'll refresh your memory about when we started these discussions. In good faith, we had hope from both parties, but we were ultimately posed with the threat that if we don't continue the agreement that we've enjoyed for the last 18 years exactly how we want it, you guys can expect a PR nightmare, and we've seen the results of that. So this is not a surprise to us.
That's right. That's not the first time.
But we're seeing that unfold. But we do want to make sure we do our due diligence, and I think in the interest of that, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to suspend the rules so we can discuss the proposal with Mr. Schuster.
Absolutely. I have a motion. Do I have a second on that?
I think we got to suspend the rules. Oh, you still want Joey,
Just
sorry.
one quick question. You said that Uri used the phrase, "This is war." Did he say it in those words?
Yes.
And this is after after they had made the decision to move to College Station?
This was when I called to let them know that this was being posted on last Thursday's afternoon agenda. This agenda was being posted last Thursday afternoon. I contacted him, and that was,
Yes, it was after.
After they made the decision.
that was after they made the decision, yes. That was back on May the 22nd.
I have a motion to suspend the rules. Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a motion to second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll ask Mr. Schuster to come up, please. Can you raise your right hand?
And Mr. Schuster, I apologize, you just can't take the lawyer out of the gal even when I'm in a less formal situation, but we really do. We're entering into a very serious agreement with you. We're really proud of our baseball fields here. We want our community to be able to continue to enjoy them. And despite the recent dust up with the Bombers, we have enjoyed them here in town. I know everybody loves to go to baseball games. So we take this as a big responsibility when we're looking for someone else to fill those shoes. So if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Well, I've been, like I said in my first statement, I've been doing this almost 40 years. My very first job was with the Durham Bulls right after the movie Bull Durham came out, and so that was my training ground, which was kind of fun. But in this business, you move a lot of places, and so I became a young general manager and started operating teams as a general manager at all levels, single A, triple A, ran spring training for the Twins. I put on World Cup soccer tournaments. We've done a lot of things in the business, and we've been doing it a long time.
Over 40 years. In 40 years, how many cities have you worked with?
15 to 20 cities for sure.
And those are the cities in which you have agreements with, but ancillary to that, how many contracts or agreements with vendors or the like would you say you've entered into over those 40 years?
Thousands and thousands of contracts.
And when did you first get in contact? I think it was mentioned earlier, but I want to be really clear. You reached out regarding this agreement after the Bombers had announced they were leaving the city of Bryan, is that correct?
That is correct.
And we talked about thousands of contracts, so I think it is important for us to walk through some of those contracts that might have gone awry. In fact, our local media has posted some of those concerns, and our citizens have brought them today, so we would be remiss if we didn't look into them. There seems to have been a lawsuit out of South Carolina in 2024. Will you address that to the council?
Yes, that is an active lawsuit between our firm and an architectural firm over fees and services. It is an active dispute between both parties. I do expect that to be settled between now and the end of the year. And, I'd like to also say that in doing this for 35 to 40 years, if you're in business, you're going to have disputes, and this is not unfamiliar. We haven't had a lot of them, but it does happen.
Certainly, I think, over the course of 40 years, if there have been 4 brought to the attention of the media, I'm assuming that's what's out there. But let's continue to walk through them because I do think it is important. But just to be clear, that is a business dispute between you and an architectural firm over fees and services. It is not a dispute between any city in which you entered into agreements similar to ours.
That is correct.
And then there's been an allegation in 2010, about 15 years ago, you faced a lawsuit. What does that mean?
I mean, somebody threatened a lawsuit against me. It was frivolous. It got pulled a month after they threatened the lawsuit, and it was used to discredit me in another project that I was working on. But it was pulled very quickly.
Never came to fruition.
It was just a
Never went to
threat of
court.
a suit. It was what it was.
So that's what faced a lawsuit means.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit different.
And they leaked that to the media so that it would do the
Sure,
same thing.
right?
Yeah.
And then again in 2019, you are accused of defaulting on a $35,000 lease payment in Missouri. Will you tell us what happened then?
Sure. So when we tried to start this league in 2019, prior to COVID, we approached the city of Joplin about joining this league. And so I think we signed the lease agreement in September, and we realized in about November that we were not going to be able to pull together a minimum of 6 cities. So we went back to the city of Joplin and said, listen, you should go lease this to another league because we're not going to be able to fulfill our end of the lease agreement. They didn't miss a step. They leased it to another league. And in a sort of ironic thing, I now own part of the Joplin team that's back in Joplin today.
So you're back in Joplin and those relations have improved.
Yes, they are.
Okay, great. Well, there does seem to be a barrage of negative information about you released to our community recently, and so I'm glad you walked us through that so we could be informed. You can't help but wonder, I'm sure you heard the previous conversation, where some of that is coming from. Do you have any kind of relationship with the former benefactor of this arrangement with the city of Bryan, Mr. Gava?
I have had some business dealings with him, yes.
And did those end well for you?
They did not end well.
All right, great. So you do have a history. All right, great. So do we. Thank you.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I just have some quick questions. Obviously, we received some media stories over just the past few hours. Were you ever contacted by any of our local media to respond to any of the allegations that they?
Yeah, the media called me on Sunday at my home, and I returned the phone call. The TV station, I spoke to a woman named Anna. She interviewed me, and that was it.
Did any of your comments get input? I don't know if you've seen that story. Did any of your comments get added into that story?
For good reason, I don't read the media, so I have no idea.
I just want to make sure that we're seeing all angles of every story that comes in here. Sometimes a lot of our local media stories can seem extremely one-sided and they don't do the due diligence. So,
I have not read the media, so I apologize.
all right, thank you.
First of all, I want to just say thank you for being transparent, because honesty is what we want, and I think honesty goes a long way and trust goes a long way. And I think that being the man that you are, I've always said that. My daddy always told me, say what you're going to say and do what you're going to do. So I appreciate you being transparent.
Thank you. We will make the city proud. I assure you that.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Schuster, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or any other discussion? Okay, next I'm going to accept a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the rental agreement with Ventura Sports Group for a Mid-America League baseball franchise at Travis Major Field.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Again, I think that we have to look at the facts in this deal, the timeline, the previous relationship, and kind of how it became fractured, and then also the rug getting pulled out of us. I think this is an opportunity to continue to bring great sports entertainment to our community, for our families to have a fun-filled evening, an affordable opportunity for them to get together with their families and friends. I don't believe that we are making anything in a hastily decision. I don't believe that we haven't vetted the potential tenant. I believe that we have vetted him appropriately. And so I look forward to welcoming you and your team into the city of Bryan starting in 2026.
Anybody else?
I think this agreement is much more fair and equitable to all of our taxpayers who all deserve to be able to use it, and who at the end of the day were the ones subsidizing the deal with our former team. So we're excited to make a better deal on their behalf. Thank you for considering the city of Bryan.
I'd agree with that. I mean, it is all about for the community and families having fun, but there is a whole business side of that as well. And it looks like this proposal is, obviously better than what we have, so we appreciate you wanting to be in our community.
Mr. Mayor, I want to thank I was sitting there, I didn't know whether I was on Perry Mason or Law and Order or SUV, but I wanted to recognize my council members. Y'all did a fantastic job of bringing out a transparency about the whole situation. And at Ventura, we're looking forward to working with you. And man, I tell you, you stood up to it. You passed the test. Thank you for coming to Bryan.
Yeah, and I also want to thank you, Mr. Schuster. It's unfortunate that we, excuse me, it's unfortunate that we've seen some heartache over the relationship that we've had with the Bombers over these years. As Councilwoman Shirtliff said, we've welcomed the Bombers, we've enjoyed the Bombers, and they made a decision that was best for them, and we as a city have to make a decision that's best for us. And we appreciate you coming to us. I do appreciate you standing up to the scrutiny that you've had. Many of us have heard from anonymous sources in the last few hours, and I'm really grateful that both staff and you have been upfront addressing these things, so I feel very comfortable about it. Thank you.
And I also would like to say thank you for showing up and being here, giving your side of this story. This is it's a passionate subject. It's passionate for all of us. We have friends who are here waiting for us to do what they think is the right thing to do, what we believe is the right thing to do. We have to work in consideration with 90,000 people who are dependent on us to make the right decision for the 90,000 people who pay for this thing. Hate that it comes to this, but we do have those backsides of some of the stuff for the years of what's gone on behind that we can't share. Now that this thing is over, we can share those things, because these are truly things that makes a difference on whether or not we want to act accordingly to the way we the way these contracts are up. I feel like the city of Bryan and the citizens, the taxpayers, have given Infinity Sports an absolute gem, and I don't think that was appreciated very much because of the way every time we'd had to do these things, it wasn't, we put our trust in the people who were supporting the team. We put our trust in the people who were there. We put our trust in the kids that were playing those games. I myself personally sponsored that team many years, and we did it because it was the right thing to do. And we did that because we believed in what they were doing and everything else. So when we found out the news also that they were moving after the negotiations that were put on, even through the due diligence of trying to find out what is the best and highest use, the whole time everybody was going, you know what, we're gonna find out what the best and highest use. We're gonna let them fulfill that next year contract out anyway, let them be here. It was to our surprise that they said they're out. They announced that they're out, so then we're gonna sit here empty. I don't want to say it was a gift from College Station to do that to us, but it certainly answered a whole lot of questions. It took a whole lot of pressure off of us and what we could do and what we couldn't do, that we wouldn't have to be here with 200 people being really upset with us. It made it a whole lot easier. So I appreciate you stepping up as soon as you heard that news, and the other applicants who stepped up as well. I mean, there was several people who came up. You just rose to the top, so we appreciate you and what our due diligence were to find you in here. I want to tell everybody, Michael, thank you for being here. Mrs. Carmichael, thank you for being here. I truly do understand how much this means to you. I know how much it hurts and everything else. It hurts us to see you here the same way. But we have to do what we think is the right thing to do. And with that, I'm going to ask for the vote. So all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimous.